Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm really glad to see you all here today for our ExpandLA Countywide meeting. My name is Saray Addison, the Partnership and Community Engagement Manager here at ExpandLA, and I'll be helping guide us through today's session. Before we jump in, I just want to ground us in why we're here. Across LA County, we know that young people need increased access to high-quality expanded learning opportunities, and at this time, many of our organizations are doing incredible work, but often we're doing them in silos without coordination, visibility, and funding that our sector truly deserves, and that's why ExpandLA is working to change that with all of you, building a more connected, resourced, and unified ecosystem so that all youth in LA County can thrive. Today is our connection, alignment, and action. You'll have some time to network, learn about key initiatives like the Neighborhood Olympics, participate in advocacy and action, and explore ways to deepen your involvement in this coalition. So without further ado, let's get started with some networking. You're going to move into networking. We're going to explain a little bit. You're going to see a screen pop up, a shared screen that'll be in your breakout rooms. We're going to make the most of our time together here. We hear a lot of times from our coalition that you all enjoy networking, so we wanted to make sure that we could have that be a part of this virtual meeting. Even though we're not in person, we can still connect. So you're going to be placed in breakout rooms for about 12 minutes. And this is your chance again to connect and to share, identify opportunities, ways that you all can collaborate. When you enter your rooms, you're going to start with a quick intro of your name, your organization, where you're located in LA County, and then you're going to choose between 1 to 2 of the prompts that are on your screen to help guide your conversation. And some of the prompts that you can consider are like things, what does your organization need support with right now? And what can you offer others? How is your organization engaging in advocacy? How has ExpandLA supported your work? And what would you like to go deeper within? And then also, because we have some conversations around the Neighborhood Olympics, maybe some meaningful involvement that you could help with when it comes to participating in that initiative. Really wanting to use this time to find your synergies with other organizations. So we're going to go ahead and get you started and networking. Enjoy. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had a great time networking with folks in your rooms. As you're joining back, I would love to hear how your networking went. You can drop some emojis in the chat for how the networking made you feel. Maybe shout out something you learned or someone you were happy to connect with. Also, in my room, we had some folks talk about offerings that they have as well as supports that they needed. So if that's something that you would like to do as well, feel free to drop in the chat any supports that you need or supports that you have to offer to share. Again, as you guys are coming back in, drop in the chat emojis for how the networking made you feel, shouting out something that you learned or someone you were happy to connect with. We still have folks coming in. We have on the screen the agenda for folks who are just joining as well. We just finished our amazing networking session. We have heard from our coalition that people love to network, so really wanted to infuse that into this virtual session. Just because we're not in person doesn't mean we can't connect. Here I'm seeing some claps, shout outs to Plus Me, Carol at Plus Me. You guys met at a tabling event. Love that. Yeah, actually, I got to see someone that I always see as well at different meetings. We always seem to be in breakout rooms. Shout out to Amanda from CCMP. Great. Well, it's good to have you all here. You all can continue to drop in the chat, shout out folks, continue to make this a warm environment. We're going to continue to talk about the coalition and why we are here today. So as I mentioned before, ExpandLA is more than a network. We are a collective voice for the expanded learning sector across LA County. And we're all focused on one problem that we are trying to solve. Ultimately, we want to ensure that youth across LA County have access to high quality expanding learning opportunities. We recognize that youth need access to quality programs to help them develop their and reach their full potential. Expanded learning organizations across LA County are typically siloed, and so coming together to bridge that gap is really what we are striving to do. Just to have a collective impact, our voices are better together than separate. So we also do this through advocacy efforts and coordinated events to ensure that we are not in our silos. Our long-term vision for systems change is pretty simple, but also extremely complicated and many moving parts, which is why it's a great thing that we have all of you all here. We are looking to unify and power to unify our sector to make sure that we are powerful together. Increased funding to support the expanded learning sector, as well as coordinated ecosystems where learning providers are centered on youth and adult partnerships. Keep going. And so people always ask, what is the benefit of becoming a member? So you can see from our photos, we have opportunities for you all to connect. Lots of times folks talk about how, again, they're unable to know who is in the sector, who is doing some of the same things that they are doing. I'm seeing people drop in the chat what they're looking for, resources and sharing programs, opportunities. And so when you come together in this space, you're able to network and collaborate across the county in the different regions across LA County through our youth hubs. We have an ecosystem of organizations in Sella, in Dina, in Antelope Valley, and in South LA that are working together to ensure that there's coordination around getting supports to youth. We also have district events where we connect with community school coordinators to support you all getting into the districts across the county. You are able to continue to build relationships with the organizations and share resources and expand your reach to youth across the county as well. So if you are in South LA, you can connect with someone in the Antelope Valley and vice versa. We also, as a member, take the data that you all send and aggregate that to strengthen our advocacy efforts and amplify the coalition's voice for funding and policy changes and systemic changes. Also, this support is evidence-based, and we like to use that when we're making our decisions here at our intermediary so that we're not just flying off the whim of deciding what services we are providing. We like to use your voice to inform what we actually are doing here at ExpandLA. And then in additionally to that, capacity building for the sector. So that looks like professional development and peer-to-peer learning, as well as supporting with funding and sustainability planning, quality improvement tools, and workforce development. So we have a membership survey or form, as well as a partnership form that is on our website. It will have a QR code that you'll see shortly, but you can become a formal member if your organization has a badge that looks like this one here in the top corner. Then that means that your organization is an official member of ExpandLA's coalition. And if not, we encourage you to do so. We'll have some time at the end for you all also to figure out how you get engaged.
Across LA County, youth like me,
discovering who we are and what we're capable of.
Today, we are expanding what's possible.
Because expanded learning programs give children the access to create, explore, and lead.
ExpandLA is a coalition of 500-plus organizations making expanded learning accessible to all youth.
Every child deserves access to high-quality, expanded learning programs.
Whether their zip code, background, or circumstance.
In these spaces, we try new things. We feel like we belong.
We celebrate who we are.
And we're encouraged to dream bigger.
We discover our passions and build confidence.
Through partnership and shared leadership,
expanded learning doesn't just fill time after school.
It strengthens community.
It prepares young people for the future.
Invest in young people, invest in
So here are some ways to get involved. Again, becoming a member. We also have an advocacy alliance, and we'll hear more about our advocacy efforts shortly later on in this event, as well as professional development. I mentioned there are ways to build the capacity of organization and through peer-to-peer learning. So we have some professional boot camps that are coming up that we'd love for you to attend. And I mentioned also that we have our youth hubs. So if you are interested in connecting with our youth hub coordinators, you can email them there. Their emails are on the screen. This slideshow will also be sent out. So if you don't have time to grab their emails now, just know that they will be sent out. We want to also take a quick moment to shout out Natalia, who was a former ExpandLA DINA coordinator, youth hub coordinator, but is now the director of Collaborate Pasadena. Congratulations, Natalia. Collaborate Pasadena was an anchor org for us in DINA, and so she came in, did an amazing job, and has now transitioned into that. So we are really excited and proud of her. Natalia, I hope you're receiving all of this love, all these congratulations and support. Now we're going to transition into speaking a little bit about this neighborhood Olympics. I'm really excited to introduce Sasha Vandermoos van Spik from HFA, Home Field Advantage, as well as Mateo Garcia from Victory House. This is a powerful opportunity to bring youth, community, and expanded learning programs together in a fun and engaging and meaningful way. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Sasha.
Give me a second to share. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Sasha with HFA. I'm here from the clubhouse in Downey to talk about upcoming sports events that have the potential of bringing us all closer together. I'll start with an introduction of who we are and what we do with HFA. HFA started because I had my kids growing up here in Downey. We walked to school on a daily basis, and I had years and years of thinking about why there was nothing to do in the neighborhood for our kids. We started a program that used underused spaces and developed homegrown leadership. With HFA, developing these young leaders in our program from being student coaches to becoming coaching directors and now becoming program coordinators, the circle is round. And that is really what this whole organization is about. We have young people leading the organization that they were first part of. And we continue to see young people come back to our organization and believe in the vision that we have. If I speak with the people that are now part of HFA, as an example, our tennis program, they have found friendship, social connection that wasn't there a year ago. And now these people are hanging out. Besides playing tennis together, they'll go to the beach together or go hang out and go to the movies. That is something that I am super, super excited about, because that means that we have an impact on our community. And I think that that is what we are aiming for the upcoming years, is create more of this togetherness through sports and create more opportunities for young people, older people, anybody that wants to be part of it, to find a place where you belong. So talking about opportunities to bring people together, when the World Cup host committee announced their Community Champions Initiative last year, we designed the Community Cup, a World Cup style tournament with local qualifying games leading up to a final cup tournament, bringing the World Cup legacy to every neighborhood we serve with our after-school sports programs. We were selected and are now in the middle of our first of 2 years of the Cup. We're currently playing the second round of local game days in Almonte, Whittier, and Downey, with our Compton teams participating in the Downey qualifiers. Each city has 2 qualifying groups, and the best 16 teams will qualify for the final event taking place on June 6th, a week before the World Cup starts. Who will be there?
We will have fourth and fifth grade ballers participate in mixed gender teams. They will bring their family and friends from multicultural backgrounds and four cities. The HFA community will be represented by our coaches, mentor coaches, student coaches, school faculty, and local city leaders. We are going to make this a day to remember for all involved and especially the young athletes. We will have four fields, including the final stadium-like field, a mini mercado, food trucks, kids activations, music, a merch booth, and HFA will open their mobile clubhouse. A true community fest. With that in mind, we started thinking about the next biggest sports event, the Olympics in LA 2028. In conversation with Jackie from ExpandLA, I mentioned how we could bring the Olympic spirit to our neighborhoods, celebrate community through sports, bring youth, families, and neighbors together through culture, teamwork, and friendly competition. School and neighborhood-based teams compete across multiple sports. Local qualifiers lead to regional championship events or a championship event, and participation is through partner schools and organizations. Bring the spirit to your community. How? Local schools and community partners host qualifying tournaments in their neighborhoods. HFA and ExpandLA provide a platform for guidance, structure, and support. The top teams will move on to the final event. Together, we will give student athletes the opportunity to build confidence, teamwork skills, and neighborhood pride. This will be enhanced by the help of local and regional partners, including the Victory House, who will help connect our events to the world stage. You will hear more about that in a bit. We're aiming to go from local to regional play, specifically to the ExpandLA youth hubs and current HFA cities. Southeast LA, Antelope Valley, Alta and Pasadena, South LA/Compton, Downey, Whittier, and Del Monte. If you're interested in joining, who should? Sports-based youth development organizations, arts, culture, food, and music groups, STEM and education providers. And what are you joining for? Multiple sports neighborhood tournaments. Soccer, basketball, and tennis are our current HFA core sports, but we are open to multiple sports. Inclusive, community-driven programming rooted in your existing work. Opportunities for youth to lead, compete, and grow as homegrown role models, as assistant coaches, field managers, referees, etc. And why would you join? Expand your impact and visibility, collaborate across sectors, bring the Olympic spirit directly to your community, and be part of a movement that connects neighborhoods through sports, culture, and opportunity. So we're working with the following timeline. 2026 foundation and pilot year. We'll build partnerships with schools, cities, and youth organizations across the youth hubs. Develop structure, sports, rules, leadership roles, scoring systems, and start training high school leaders and student coaches. In 2027, we continue to organize and start qualifying game days in the fall. Scale to multiple neighborhoods and school districts countywide. Run local qualifying tournaments. Integrate arts, culture, and STEM programming. And in 2028, we will finish the qualifying groups and build momentum with adding community festivity and storytelling. This will all lead to a final neighborhood Olympics event at a central location in June or early July 2028. And celebrate just before the Olympics begin, connecting local youth to the global stage. With that being said, I'm going to pass the ball to Mateo Garcia from Victory House, who will tell us more about how this all connects to the global events.
Is goed. Dankjewel, Sasha. And thank you so much to Sasha as a fellow coach. I live in the DC area, but as a fellow coach, I think it's absolutely amazing everything that Home Field Advantage is doing, and we're really pumped here at Victory House to not only support Home Field Advantage, but also support all of you guys through the ExpandLA network. So here at Victory House, we are, you guys can see my screen. What we're planning is something innovative. We're planning something that hasn't been done before, which is combining the key community leaders, such as yourselves, with diplomats from embassies and consulates. I just hopped off. I've been meeting with, we're in negotiations with more than 20 embassies and consulates to get involved in our LA hub. And we're working with different government officials to do that alongside athletes and sports. And we're planning on doing that in a way that can be a central location for everyone to come in and to be reunited. We're planning a flagship hub in LA for the World Cup. So before I even start, I know that we've been chatting a lot about the World Cup and about the impact, but I think for a lot of the people that don't understand and don't know the impact that the World Cup has on LA, it will truly be mind-blowing. I mean, it's gonna seem like the whole world is coming to LA, not only for the World Cup, but also for the Olympics, and we want to take advantage of that. We want to provide your community organization with exposure, with opportunities to leaders that normally you wouldn't be connected with. And we will do that through the Victory House. Our key partners are Operativo, Revolve Impact, and Soze. So we've worked with clients such as Spotify, Gucci, Google, Airbnb. We've also, from the athletic level, we've worked with key athletes like Brittany Griner, Larry Fitzgerald Foundation, and looking forward to working alongside all of your organizations in order to make Victory House a reality, not only for this World Cup, but also for the Olympics. What we're planning at Victory House is, like I said, innovative. It's different. We will be having free and accessible spaces in LA for the World Cup and for the Olympics that are family friendly. Our opportunities for your community organizations to watch different World Cup matches, watch different Olympic games, and then more than anything, push for programmatic and leadership opportunities for your organizations. So, of those leadership opportunities, what I really want to call out to your guys' organizations are opportunities to get involved with panels and roundtables. Like I mentioned, I've been meeting with embassies and consulates within Operativo. We have staff members that have worked in Obama and Biden White Houses, and we are tied in to key governmental leaders, not only in the California metro and LA metro area, but also federally and internationally. We want to provide that opportunity for your community-based organizations to have frank and honest conversations at these community roundtables, have frank and honest conversations at these panels. So Sarai, we'll be sending a Google interest form. So I would love for every one of you guys to fill it out so that we can gauge your interests and we can see how we can get you involved in order to have these conversations with diplomatic governmental leaders to push for better advocacy in the community. Like I mentioned, we're focusing on innovatively focusing on government partners, commercial partners, and community and culture and impact partners. Specifically, I want to highlight the community culture and impact partners. That's where you guys are going to come in and it will be key. That's why I've loved having the conversations with Home Field Advantage and ExpandLA. Obviously, Home Field Advantage is doing a fantastic job with the Community Cup, and us at Victory House are looking forward to supporting them and building up the exposure and providing opportunities either with professional athletes to have coaching clinics where your guys' kiddos can be coached by former legends, or having opportunities for these panels and roundtables. So that's an opportunity where we want to learn from you guys. We want to provide be kind of the bridge to connect all of your organizations and do that in a way where we can be the hub. I know that Sasha mentioned the 7 regions. We kind of view Victory House as being the eighth region, the region where we can all come in together and for the World Cup and the Olympics, watch these games after the Community Cup is done and provide opportunities for the teams and for your organizations to be involved. So here are a few events that we've already had in LA and in New York City. I was really lucky during these events. I was at the Kennedy Center for the World Cup watch draw, and I was able to meet some of my favorite legends like Kaká, Ronaldo, um, Mauricio Pochettino, Jesse Marsh. And sorry if I'm nerding out right there, but for the football experts, they know that these are huge stars, legends, and we want to be able to provide an opportunity for kids that are involved in the Community Cup or your community-based organizations to learn from these sporting leaders, but not only learn from the sporting leaders, but also learn from the diplomatic and consulate leaders, learn from the government officials. For example, right here down below, we had an event where the Consul General of Argentina, Consul General of South Africa, and consuls of Mexico and Canada spoke at our events in New York City and LA, and we want to provide an opportunity for your organizations to have those conversations with consul generals and ambassadors. So specifically for the World Cup, we will be partnering with the Arizona State University for the Grand Hope Park building, and that's where we'll be inviting every single one of you to our events. It's going to be like we mentioned, we're going to have food trucks, have a ton of screens to watch World Cup matches. We will be having concerts and more than anything, having these panels and roundtable experiences and match day experiences with everyone. It's up to 1,200 people are invite the capacity. So we really want this to be an opportunity to celebrate the beauty of LA, the culture, and also uplift your community-based organizations and put you guys on a pedestal and offer an opportunity for you guys to get involved. So specifically, I know this calendar is we're doing a lot in LA and New York City and across North America, but I really want to focus on the purple dates. Those are the dates that we will be sending and focusing on in LA. So we'll be letting you guys know about the match dates. We're also going to be focused on the finals weekend in New York City and doing different watch parties and match day experiences. And more than anything, we're looking at working with different partners, such as Home Field Advantage, in order to uplift and have interesting and amazing merchandise for the kiddos that are playing in the Community Cup. That's where we're tying in with the different consulates and embassies and different brands that we're working with. We have a partnership with the Fader, which is a fantastic cultural magazine in New York City that have worked with different agencies and musicians, and we'll be planning different concerts, but also planning different partnership opportunities and collaboration opportunities with the embassies and consulates that we're working with to support Home Field Advantage and support your community-based organization. And more than anything, obviously the World Cup is the time is of the essence right now for the World Cup. It's coming really quickly and it's going to be an amazing opportunity, but we're really focused on the LA Olympics. And more than that, we're focused on providing opportunities in the LA area for you guys to have a space for your community-based organizations to come in, learn from these different leaders, and where they can learn from you. And then more than anything, just have a space where we can all be using sport to be connected, and to use sport as a connecting tool, not only for culture and for communities, but also for countries and causes. Because at the end of the day, we really want to leave a proactive and positive legacy after the World Cup and after the Olympics. And at Victory House, we're looking forward to being a part of that with you guys. So Thank you so much. I know Sada is gonna send in a Google form where you guys can fill out information, and we just really want to hear from you guys. I'm gonna send in my information. We want to be a reference and a tool for you guys. Obviously, I live in the DC area. I'm not an expert when it comes to LA. That's why we want to uplift you guys. We want to learn from you guys and see how we can help to use the World Cup and the Olympics at the best of our ability, where it truly feels like the whole world is going to be coming in and providing that opportunity for the Community Cup and the Neighborhood Olympics. So I'll pass it off back to Sade and Jackie, but thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'll put my contact into the chat, and please feel free to reach out, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys at the Victory House.
Thank you, Sasha and Mateo. I just want to tie a couple things together, and then if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat for either Sasha or Mateo. We'll see if we can get to some questions or answer them in the follow-up. So just to clarify, so right now, since the World Cup is underway, Sasha already has his tournament going, and Mateo or Victory House will be doing just a little bit of some support for that, including these watch parties. Where ExpandLA is convening is around the Olympics. So this meeting that's listed right here on the slide, that's when we're going to be gathering anyone who's interested in joining this committee to help form what the Olympics is going to look like. We're taking a whole year to plan. So we encourage anyone who has any interest to come to the meeting and see where you can plug in. We are also, ExpandLA, as you know, does a lot of advocacy. So we will be doing advocacy around the funding related to the 2028 Olympics. So there's a question on this interest form too, if you're interested in being in the advocacy part of the Olympics as well. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. So hopefully that people are excited about that. I don't know if anybody put any questions in the chat. Is there any like one or two burning questions that need clarification from what was said? I can't see everybody's hand if anybody has one, but okay, otherwise I will pass the mic back.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Mateo. Thank you, Sasha, for sharing all of the wonderful things that are happening in the arena of sports. We are going to move on to our advocacy and action section of the meeting. I'm going to pass it over to Jenny Marroquin, who is our Director of Advocacy. Take it away, Jenny.
Wonderful. Good morning, folks. Buenos dias. My name is Jenny Marroquin, pronouns ella, she. And I'm also going to summon my partner in crime, Uriah. Uriah, as a small update for the network, in case you might have missed our announcements, has joined our advocacy team. So super excited. As we know, advocacy in LA is continuing to grow. And Uriah is an absolutely amazing asset. So if you haven't reached out to him to say hi, for him to come do a site visit, he is more than excited to also join the advocacy team and continuing to get to know what advocacy looks like at different sites across the county of LA. So to jump in, we're going to be doing a bit of some updates for advocacy. So we want to make sure to loop everybody in to what our city and county data looks like. We had an amazing partnership that created the America After 3 p.m. survey. We're doing some work around a bill that's on expanded learning. And then we have some opportunities of engagement. Some of you have already started engaging in our advocacy work through the Advocacy Alliance. But all of these efforts are really to help continue to bring us together under one roof, mobilize around all the different efforts that are going to continue to shape the experience of the youth across the county of LA, and making sure that we are utilizing this like one voice approach to really lift what's important and what's impactful in our communities. So in our next slide, to start us off, we're gonna share a little bit of this data that we were able to get. So we were able to partner with, like I mentioned, America After 3 p.m., who surveys nationally, does a parent survey to understand what does after school look like. We partnered with them to oversample LA County and LA City so that we could understand what does after school look like in LA City, LA County specifically. And these are some of the data points that we gathered. And as we see, there's a really great amount of youth that are being served. So from the children that are in after school programs, what we're seeing is that students are benefiting from the after school programs across the city of LA. What we know is that the pandemic, for example, was a moment that immensely impacted youth socioemotionally. Social skills is something that a lot of folks have brought up. And what we saw is that 87% of youth are benefiting from the expanded learning space in things like social skills and responsible decision making. But what we also see is that there's still a gap. Like a lot of students are being served, but 3 and 5 Los Angeles students are still missing out on expanded learning programs. And we want to continue to close that gap, especially because we know there's this huge investment in the state level. And there's also investments at the local level. So in the next slide, we're going to see what the data looks like in the county level. And what we see is that there's still a gap, right? There's still a gap that we're trying to address when it comes to how many students are getting access to expanded learning. But we also see the benefits are still really aligned with what we see at the city level. And this also mirrors the state level and nationally, where folks are seeing the benefits of boosting teamwork, for example, critical thinking and leadership skills. We know that a lot of you have absolutely amazing, thought out, intentional, built out leadership programs. And all of that is reflected in this survey. So those are really, really great data points for us to get insight from. Again, this being a parent-facing survey. But what we're seeing is at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, and nationally, we are still seeing a need for us to close these gaps when it comes to access to expanded learning. So I gave a really, really brief overview of the data, but we wanted to see just off of what you just heard from your experience, if I could get the next slide. We're going to do a little bit of just like a 3-minute pulse check within peers. Which statistics hit home for your community or program and why, and what barriers are you seeing? What we know is the survey was like parent facing. And we want to also make space to gather from you all. What are some barriers that you all think are informing some of those gaps that are still reflected in the data? So if we can open up the breakout rooms for 3 minutes, that would be wonderful. Wonderful. I think we're all back. Just wanted to get 1 or 2 sharebacks. What are some barriers that folks might be seeing to access to expanded learning programs, or which statistic hit home for you?
So one of the things that came up was certainly the current situation with ICE, and families and parents not feeling safe to go out. So I think that's certainly a big barrier. The other thing that came up is sort of a geographic analysis, in terms of like mapping how parents felt about barriers to access geographically, to see if there's a high percentage of parents that don't feel like they have access to programs overlaid on where the actual after school programs are actually happening. So if you do that kind of analytical overlay, that could tell you, tell you some things. So
Thank you so much, Angela.
yeah.
Definitely very true for what's been happening right now in the communities we serve.
In our group, we mentioned transportation. That's always been a barrier. Either getting kids who can get to locations, or for the schools that prefer that your program is on site at school, which is, difficult for those who want to participate. And especially if you're looking for volunteers in Los Angeles aren't going to spend an hour in LA traffic to try to get to a school between the hours that most people work, 3 to 6. So that's always a barrier also.
Yeah, thank you so much for lifting that, Leah. And I also saw Tiffany in the chat, equitable availability and access to low cost spaces to host programming, that especially in the context of like LA City, LA County. We're always looking for spaces for programming, so that's definitely a challenge for folks. Thank you all for your thoughts. And this is why the advocacy work that we're doing is so important. So we're gonna shift into a small, if you haven't yet engaged a little bit with the Advocacy Alliance that we launched. These are the concerns, the challenges, the obstacles that we want to make sure are a part of these conversations. Last year, we launched this Advocacy Alliance as an additional effort to really strategically mobilize the LA County expanded learning sector, so that we can focus on that equitable funding, equitable access, promoting quality standards and quality programming while also thinking of accountability. And these are what some of the priorities are for the Advocacy Alliance, along with making sure we're driving that local, state, and federal policy change. How we're doing that is through committees and subcommittees depending on different efforts. So we just heard, for example, we're doing work around the Olympics. This summer, we're going to be launching a Olympics Advocacy Alliance committee that's going to be shaping what the advocacy pathway looks like for the Olympics. And this year, we were focused on the expanded learning or ELOP effort. So I'll be sharing a little bit more about that. But who's involved is we want to make sure that it's not just the expanded learning providers, but we're partnering with also parents, youth, families, and stakeholders. So throughout this year, we've been working alongside our providers to build a like youth capacity in LA to start mobilizing and engaging with parents, and making sure that we're talking about the local efforts along with like the statewide efforts. So in our next slide, we're going to be diving a little bit more into our statewide efforts, and then I'll go back to a little bit of the local efforts that we're doing. So I'm going to invite into our space Laura Beebe, who is working with CA3 or the California After School Advocacy Alliance, along with the Partnership for Children and Youth. As a part of our statewide efforts, we're also a part of CA3. And CA3 is leading the effort around AB 2430, which I was tempted to go into, but I'm going to invite Laura to share a little bit more about the Bridge and Boost Act.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jenny, and good morning, everyone. Really nice to see a lot of familiar and also a lot of new faces. Really excited to be here, yeah, as Jenny mentioned, on behalf of CA3, which is our statewide coalition of expanded learning programs, and talk about some of our state advocacy efforts. And I'll just say that, Los Angeles is critical in our state advocacy, and so we're very lucky to have the partnership of ExpandLA and all of the great work that Jenny and Uriah and you all are doing. So very quick summary of AB 2430. It is a lengthy bill, but I'll be brief here, and we have a lot more information available if you're interested. After I speak, I'll drop a few links in the chat, and you're welcome to reach out to me anytime. The reason AB 2430 is coming about now is because California has made a huge investment into expanded learning in recent years, and that's through, as Jenny mentioned, ELOP, or the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. With ELOP, California now has more than $5 billion invested into expanded learning programs, and that is a huge and exciting and transformative investment. And, now that we're about 4 years in, we need to really be kind of moving from launch to implementation and thinking about how we make this investment work in a way that is efficient and effective, and really making sure the voices of program providers are represented in the policy decisions. And so through, many months and even years of conversations with our members in CA3, again, including many of you and Jenny, we came up with a couple kind of key changes to ELOP that we've included in AB 2430. The first, and what I think is the most exciting and we'll spend the most time on, is improving access for high school students. So the really important thing for everyone to know is that, again, ELOP and this new funding has been huge, and it's been primarily focused on elementary school age students, so students aged TK through 6. And you all know I'm preaching to the choir here, but there are huge needs for high school students and middle school students as well to have access to expanded learning, particularly now, particularly with a lot of mental health needs, which I was talking about with some of my groups earlier, a lot of trauma in our communities, a lot of things going on in the world. It is just essential that we have safe places and engaging activities and support for high school students. And there are a couple stats up here that I think are important for you all to know. Out of that $5 billion that California is investing, less than 2%, $70 million, is the only funding going to high school students. And that's federal funding, which is unstable, as we saw last summer when the Department of Education froze funds, and programs were delayed for a number of weeks before they were eventually released. High school students are a third of the population. And again, they have needs too, and they need quality programs. So what AB 2430 would do is it would reallocate a portion of existing funding. We would be using ACES funding, for those of you who are familiar, and we would be moving it to programs for high school youth. We'd also be increasing rates, and we'd be increasing the number of days so that we could serve high school students over the summer in addition to the school year. This would be an incremental step. It would not get us all the way to universal access for high school students like we have for elementary school students, but it would be a step in the right direction. And, this is going to be our advocacy work for years to come, is building up programs and access for both high school and middle school students. So that's the big part of the bill. There are a couple other pieces that are important too. The second piece is around program quality and funding rates for ELOP. We think it is really important that the state is intentional, that they think about the cost of quality programs as they set funding rates. And so what AB 2430 would do here is it would convene a work group. It would make sure that the voices of program providers and frontline staff are included in the conversations and are able to make recommendations about rates to bring that to the legislature and hopefully secure, program sustainability, workforce development, and all of those things for future years. Last but not least, the bill also has a component around reporting and transparency. The state is now collecting data on expanded learning, thanks to some advocacy work we did a couple years ago, but they are not yet reporting out on it. So we want to require the state to be reporting in a way that is timely and publicly accessible so that both public, families and youth and program providers and also policymakers can see where programs exist, can see the impacts of programs, and can see where gaps remain and might need to be fixed. So that's the very quick version, Jenny. I hope I stuck close to 2 or 3 minutes. There is a lot in the bill, but I'll just highlight that, it's not asking for any new money at the moment. It's reallocating and we think making better use of existing dollars. And we think most of these are kind of common sense things to do to improve the funding right now. So I'll go ahead and I'll drop some more information in the chat. We're going to have some opportunities to support coming up. We just got set for our first hearing in the Assembly Education Committee. So we'll make sure ExpandLA has all of the information to share with you all if you're interested in getting involved. We would love to have more voices and more people involved in that work. So I'll pause there. Happy to answer any questions and just, yeah, thank you again to Jenny and Uriah and the team for the space and also for all the work you've been doing.
Thank you so much, Laura. Yes, all the love for the work that CA3, PCY, and all the coalition members are doing around AB 2430. And we're like really excited for our like partners and members in the LA field to also, or coalition to also join and support this effort. And in support of this effort, actually, in our next slide, we are, we all actually just came back yesterday night from the challenge. So what if for folks that are not familiar, this is an annual statewide advocacy effort in Sacramento where families and providers rally, do a march, and meet with legislators around expanded learning or after school and summer priorities. So it's a part of like a really amazing way to bring all the voices together when it comes to a statewide priority or effort. And in these pictures, we actually have ARC, Green Dot, After School All Stars, who were a group of many providers from LA specifically, shouting out Woodcraft Rangers, LA's Best, Educare, Think Together. Like Laura mentioned, LA definitely like shows up for advocacy, especially when it comes to creating these opportunities for youth. And youth were able to meet with staffers, we're able to meet with legislators. So it's not only allowing us to continue to lift priorities and legislation that are important to youth communities and the sector, but it's creating an amazing opportunity for youth that potentially could be life changing. A lot of these youth leave the challenge saying, like, man, I hope to one day have this seat, or I hope to one day work with a legislator, or I didn't know that I could have that important of a impact in a legislator's perspective on this priority. So if you haven't learned about it, we'll also share a little bit more information in our follow-up email in case you all want to build up to next year's challenge and take your youth to Sacramento. But it was definitely an amazing, amazing experience where youth got to do something very, very unique and will hopefully build on top of that for the future. But thank you so much for joining us, Laura. And then, as she shared, we'll continue to update folks regarding this bill and where it is at. And we're going to actually continue to build advocacy efforts at the local level to ensure that we're also doing our part to support the passing of this bill. So in the next slide. This is a bit of an overview of our advocacy efforts through the Advocacy Alliance. We've been working for the last couple of months since October on building our own understanding at the local level of what is important to the expanded learning field, doing some research. We launched our steering committee for the Advocacy Alliance, which is a really, really amazing group of expanded learning leaders who are helping to shape and inform the direction that we're taking. And in November, we started launching our research meetings and advocacy meetings with legislators. We were actually able to meet with 7 legislators or staff members, including Assembly Member Al Murasuchi, Assembly Member Mark Gonzalez, Senator Smallwood Cuevas, Assembly Member Josh Lowenthal, Senator Sasha Renee Perez, Senator Lina Gonzalez, and Assembly Member Sade Owari. And we actually continue to follow up with their staff members. And in February, March, we launched our local trainings for providers and staff so that we can continue to build the understanding of what is ELOP and how can folks get involved? How can you take this back to your organizations? So we had train the trainer sessions where organizations sent their staff and their staff were able to train their staff so that youth can also learn about ELOP and hopefully work on some advocacy through their programs. And in April, we're shifting into a LA Activates. We want to encourage folks to get involved in different ways to support pass this bill. Like I mentioned, those train the trainer sessions all are leading to youth creating their own advocacy projects, whether that is through social media, whether that is creating an event and inviting a legislator or a staff member. And there's a couple of additional pieces that we're adding because we also understand that there's different capacity for different organizations. So Uriah is going to share a little bit more about a social media toolkit because if maybe the programming route might be a little bit too much for what an organization's capacity can hold, maybe getting involved in a lighter way through a social media toolkit or social media could be another alternative. So Uriah is going to share a little bit more about that. But we're also continuing to do legislator engagement. So there's organizations that are going to be hosting site visits with legislators where we're actually mirroring what we did in Sacramento and LA. And we're having legislator meetings at the site level with students, and we're actually adding parents and the providers to make sure that legislators are seeing programs in action, but are also engaging with students and hearing from parents why this bill is important. So if you are interested in getting involved in the survey that we're going to have after the convening, there's going to be a link that's going to take you to the Advocacy Alliance interest form. Definitely fill that out or reach out to myself or Uriah. And then that way we can plug you all into the different advocacy efforts. On that note, I'm going to pass it over to Uriah, who's going to share a little bit more about our social media toolkit.
Yes, thank you, Jenny. So just like Jenny mentioned, a lot of our Advocacy Alliance members are going to be hosting legislative visits at their program sites or attending legislative sessions at their local legislator's office throughout LA County. But as Jenny mentioned, for folks that maybe don't have that capacity or aren't able to officially send their community members to these legislative offices or host a representative, we are creating a social media toolkit to allow LA County to have a unified message around supporting after-school programs and ultimately AB 2430. So with this toolkit, we'll be able to show legislators and decision makers the importance of expanded learning through storytelling and imagery, really putting front and center what after-school programming looks like in LA County. So what is really in this toolkit? It'll have a background of what exactly we're doing and why expanded learning is so important. And then it'll have a how do you use this section. From there, it'll showcase that we are looking for organizations to potentially post twice between the weeks of April 6th and May 2nd. So it's about 4 weeks. So 2 posts, one every 2 weeks, with preset captions and hashtags to bring awareness to AB 2430, the Bridge and Boost Act. These posts would really stand to showcase programs through imagery and film. And the toolkit will also have examples of what you can do to actually pose alongside graphics that you can also edit to match your organization and your imagery. We actually have some examples that we want to show you guys on the next slide. So here's just some examples, and you'll find these in the graphics folder that is also located on our toolkit to give you guys some ideas of how you guys can post to really support after school programs throughout LA County. And this toolkit will be available this upcoming Friday in our follow-up event. And then if we can move on to our next steps. So our next steps, as Jenny mentioned, we are going to be having an Advocacy Alliance interest forum. We would love to see you guys at our meeting. So if you have any interest in joining, please fill out our survey. Again, our social media toolkit will be coming out this Friday. And any updates on AB 2430 will be shared through our newsletter.
Awesome. With that, we will pass it back over to Saray. Thank you all so much. We're super excited for this work. And like I mentioned, if you all want to reach out to Uriah or myself, definitely we'll add our email to the chat.
Thank you so much, Jenny and Uriah and Laura for sharing all the ways that the coalition can get involved in advocacy. We are gearing up to end our time together. It was really great to see all of you all today. We have a. It's not coming up. Let's see it. What do you guys? Let's see. No, not seeing it. Okay. It's saying pause. So I'm going to have Marisa share it for us. Thanks for your patience, guys. But yes, like I was saying, we're going to have a raffle. I've already done it and we have our winner. Just wanted to reiterate that this raffle the participants were selected based off of your membership. So if you are a member of ExpandLA, then and you attended this meeting, then you were entered into the raffle. And you can go to the next slide. Our winner is Denise Sains. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. From Expanded Learning Academy. Congratulations, Denise. Yes, we've got some wonderful celebratory accomplishments for everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Congratulations, Denise. You will be receiving some free professional development, and we will send you additional information about that after the meeting. As the meeting closes out, I want to remind you all that, you can go to the next slide, to the different ways of which you all can get involved. You can become a member here. You can join our Advocacy Alliance. And there's also professional development opportunities for you all. And again, the Youth Hub coordinators are there. Again, congratulations to Natalia for her new role at Collaborate Pasadena. We're going to send out the wonderful video. Everyone wasn't able to see it today, so we're going to send it out. But I also wanted to offer you all a time to continue to mingle with everyone. Again, because we're not in person doesn't mean we can't connect. So we're going to stay on for additional 15 minutes if you guys would like to continue to connect with folks in the chat. And yeah, thank you so much for joining and hope to see you guys the next time.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Unless you want to stay and chat. Still good to see you.